From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is a tropical weather update.
Fred Gossage here in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center on this Tuesday, August 26, 2025, with your daily afternoon tropical weather update. Kelly had you covered earlier this morning with the morning update. We are watching Tropical Storm Fernand still across the northern parts of the central Atlantic. It's a lot weaker than what it was this time when I spoke to you yesterday afternoon. With a lot of the convection fading away overnight and through the morning, we are starting to see a little burst of convection near the center of circulation. And National Hurricane Center mentioned that there may be a temporary re-intensification before it fades away into a non-tropical system as we head through the next 24 to 48 hours. Here's the latest advisory, and I did remember to change the transition for the name on it today. As of the late morning advisory, winds were still down to 40 miles per hour, moving northeast at 13. And on this track here for the next 24 to 36 hours, maintaining a lower end tropical storm intensity, although there may be a slight tick up here over the next 12 to 18 hours if that convection around the center maintains itself. However, we expect it to become a non-tropical low pressure, a regular type low that's attached to the jet stream and cold fronts as we head through the next 36 to 48 hours, and we'll have Fernand off the board then. Outside of that, no tropical development expected for the Atlantic Basin for at least the next 7 days. The global wind circulation pattern, the MJO getting into a less favorable phase. The little uptick in activity we had was on the back edge of that MJO wave we had come across the Atlantic, and now it's into the Indian Ocean. Global uplift, rising motion, to get tropical systems to intensify and sustain themselves. That's getting into a more unfavorable phase for the next few weeks here over the Atlantic Basin. But we still have plenty more to go in the Atlantic hurricane season, and I do think the MJO gets back into a more favorable phase for tropical development as we get into the second and third weeks of September, and then we carry on into October. We're not done with the hurricane season just yet, but we are going to be quiet here for the next little bit as we don't have any significant systems on the board. The wave we had been watching, the last in the little parade of waves that we had for the last couple weeks, that's moving through the Eastern Caribbean. This is known as the graveyard for the weak tropical waves because of the strong easterly trade winds here. Often causes wind shear that rips these apart. Stronger systems can survive that. And once you get into September, the trade winds do weaken a little bit and there's less wind shear, but this little weak, shallow system not holding together in those trades. And then you also notice we still have stronger than normal upper level winds out of the southwest causing wind shear as well. So not expecting any tropical development out of that little wave there. It will continue over into Central America and not be a concern for development. Elsewhere, not a whole lot of wave activity in the Eastern Atlantic. We do have some tropical waves wading back into Western Africa that will move offshore over the next several days. But with the global wind circulation, like we were talking about, becoming less favorable for development, shifting us back into the type of global weather pattern we had prior to Aaron developing. I don't think we're going to see any significant development out of these. One thing we can often use as kind of a sniff test in the extended range is whether the GFS model and the others do their little extended range fantasy storms 10 to 14 days out. When we don't see that happen, that usually means that we are getting into a quiet pattern, because if the models usually overdo that on the regular basis and then they're not showing anything, that tells me how unfavorable it's going to be for the next couple of weeks. But I don't expect this to be over with the Atlantic hurricane season by any means. I do think as we get deeper into September, we crank up again for a few weeks. The next name on the list will be Gabrielle, and then Umberto, Imelda, Jerry, and we'll see what Karen does if we get that far down the list. We'll see. But I do think things will start to pick up as we head into the second and third weeks of September. And that's right on time. The peak climatologically of the Atlantic hurricane season comes around September 10th, and then it usually remains active all the way into mid-October before we see a decline. But the hurricane season does last through the end of November officially, and then every now and then Especially in a La Nina winter, you can get some systems that last over into the first parts of December. So we still have a ways to go, even though it is going to get a little quiet here for the next few weeks. We don't let our guard down by any means. We'll continue to watch things here in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. The next regularly scheduled tropical weather update will be tomorrow morning, August the 27th, on a Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. Kelly Rosson will be here to give you that update.